Good morning. Create. I love the word create. Do you guys like it? Create is awesome. It's an action word. It means that you're doing something, you're moving forward, you're progressing. I also love the word co-create because that means you get to share it with others as you're doing that. I really like the word procreate, but that's a whole different presentation. My wife probably wouldn't like me saying that. She's in the back. I love to create opportunities, to create experiences, to create memories, things that you can take with you, ways that you can help others. But to do that, we're going to talk about two very critical principles that will help you to live a life unfrozen. And I'll explain what that means, but first I need to take you back a little bit. You need to take a little trip with me. So let's picture if you're looking at this mountain. This is Mount Bachelor in Bend, Oregon. Almost 16 years ago, I was on this ski hill with my brother-in-law 3 days before Christmas. Now, at that time in our lives, my wife and I had been married for 4.5 years. We had bought our first home. My career was taking off. Everything was wonderful. We had 2 little kids. We had a 2.5-year-old girl named Senia and a almost 1-year-old boy named Kyler. And I've actually never shown these pictures before. I just scanned them a couple weeks ago. These are our little kids. You might notice something different in these pictures from what you see me today. Maybe you didn't. I'm in a wheelchair. Let's make that clear. So I'm ready to ski down this hill, and here's what I see. It's lightly snowing. There's a big jump ahead of me. There's 30 people down watching off to the right, about 80 yards ahead. And I'm waiting for my turn. And it's time. So I start heading down the hill. I'm going through the snow. I'm coming up on this jump. All these people are watching. And my confidence, because I'm a snow skier. How many of you guys snow ski or snowboard? Right? A lot. It's fun. And as I come up on the jump, all that confidence of mine started to turn to cockiness, because then I know everybody's watching. This is going to be big. I'm going to hit this hard. It's going to be wonderful. And instead of slowing down a little bit and hitting it right, I tucked in tight. I went straight in. And I came off that jump too hard. I went 30 feet into the air, which is taller than this ceiling. I didn't want to go that high. And I rotated backwards, coming down, landing on my neck, and instantly paralyzing me. A day later, my wife and I were told that most likely I would never walk for the rest of my life. But I didn't believe it, and neither did my wife. We're both very positive people. But this is what I looked like. I had all these tubes and wires, a halo. I had a breathing tube in. I couldn't even talk to my wife for weeks. It was very difficult, but I knew that I would walk again. There was no doubt in my mind. So over the next year, I worked extremely hard to get as healthy as I possibly could. And I say we, because my wife came with me on it. We were creating a new life together. We're going to use that create word. If you take notes, get ready to write. We worked very hard, and I got back full use, well, not full, almost full use of my upper body, and my legs were starting to move just a tiny bit. Not much, but they were moving. I would walk. I may not run around the mountains again, but I will walk again. And I got healthy, and I got stronger, and I started to work full-time again. I had a truck equipped so that I could drive, because they tried to put me in a minivan, and I thought, come on, I'm paralyzed. Don't kick me while I'm down and put me in a minivan. Give me a break. So we had a truck equipped so that I can drive. Our lives were starting to become a new normal again. But then I came down with pneumonia one night, and I went unconscious in my sleep. They rushed me into the hospital. They get me up on the x-ray table and take some shots of my lungs. And while I'm sitting on the x-ray table and I'm still unconscious, I fell off the x-ray table and broke my neck again. This time higher up. And I lost the use of my hands, my triceps, and everything from the chest down. And I haven't regained any of that. That's a lie. Some of you may have heard me speak, but I can move my middle finger just a little bit. I'm still trying to figure out what to use that for, but I can use my middle finger just a little bit. So, what I learned really quickly though, the first time that I broke my neck, I was physically paralyzed. You can see that. That's pretty obvious. But the second time I broke my neck, and I realized that now I can't get back what I want to do, I became mentally paralyzed. Not literally, like my wife claims, but I became mentally paralyzed because now all my dreams, all these things that I've wanted to do, aren't going to happen the way I pictured it. They're not the way that I want it to be. And so I became frozen. I was stuck. And I struggled with, well, I still deal with a lot of pain. But I struggled with depression. I didn't want to admit it. I didn't admit it for years. I don't like to admit it now, but I did. I struggled with a lot of frustration, a lot of doubt, a lot of guilt. The guilt that I feel, it's not the matter that I can't do things that I always wanted to do. It's that I feel I robbed my wife of the guy that she married. And all those dreams of being able to have a husband and when she falls asleep on the couch watching a movie that could pick her up and take her into bed. Or to stand next to her and wash the dishes. I took that from her. My kids never get to have a dad like other dads who gets to run around at the park with them and pick them up and go out and play basketball with them. I want to dunk on my 16-year-old son so bad. I took those things from him, and that kills me, and that makes me be frozen. But we like to live, and I'm not going to go through a whole deal. We're going to skip now quite a few years up till last March. And last March, my wife came to our family, and she said, all right, guys, there's something I want us to do as a family. I said, all right, what is this? Shouldn't you talk to your husband first? No. She said, I think that we should ride bicycles from Bend, Oregon, where I broke my neck, to Los Angeles. 1,200 miles to raise money and awareness for people who need wheelchairs in other countries, who are struggling, who don't have that choice. And I sat back. I didn't say a word, and I watched my kids. We have 4 kids now. We have an 18-year-old daughter, 16-year-old son, and 12 and 10-year-old daughters. We were able to have 2 more daughters. I'm not going to get into the lessons on how a paralyzed guy has 2 more daughters, but we were blessed to be able to. And I watched my kids, and within 5 minutes, each one of them said, I'm in. This is in March. We're going to ride in July, 4 months. We have to not just figure out how to ride bikes, but we have to create an event. But I knew that there needed to be something to this. And this is number 1 out of the 2. Number 1 is motion creates emotion. Motion creates emotion. Now that doesn't mean that you can't have emotion first, right? Because when you have a passion, when you have a desire, that gives you that excitement, and that makes you want to do something. It makes you want to move. But the problem is, if you don't move, that initial excitement, that energy, quickly turns into a negative. It turns into a guilt, a doubt. So you've got to typically start, you've got to get that motion moving. You've got to get it to happen. So I need to get my family to buy in on this, to really want to do it. And not just do it, but to understand it. So I actually invited over my family, my parents, my sister and brother, and they all came and they brought their kids. And I said, here's what I want you guys to do. I want all of you, and we just built a new house. And so our backyard is rock, dirt, and weeds. And I said, all of you sit down on the ground. And I want you to go to the other side of the yard, which is a big yard, without moving your legs. I need you to know what it's like. And it was hard for them. So let's show what it was like. Can you hit that movie?
Jesus has overcome, and the grave is overwhelmed. The victory is won. He is risen from the dead, and I will rise when he calls my name. No more sorrow, no more pain. I will rise on eagle's wings before my God, fall on my knees and rise. I will rise. I will rise when he calls my name. No more sorrow, no more pain. I will rise on eagle's wings before my God, fall on my knees and
So whatever you believe in, whatever your passion is, if you are creating a business and you want it to be successful, start with the motion. Start doing things consistently. Start bringing in. You gotta get uncomfortable. Get used to being uncomfortable. Get used to sitting on the ground and trying to make your legs move with your arms. If you want that to happen. If you want a successful marriage, What are you going to do? What are you going to put in motion so that then you will have that emotion? You will have those feelings that you really want. You've got to put forth the work. You've got to put forth the effort. And then you'll be able to see it. I needed my family to buy in on that. And after they did this, a lot of my family, my mom sat there going, I had no idea, Nathan. You've been paralyzed for 15 years. I had no idea it's this hard for you. So now we have this activity that we're going to do. Activity, this is kind of a big adventure to go 1,200 miles raising money. $150 provides a wheelchair for someone in another country, and that's delivered. That's an amazing thing for me, to be able to change someone's life forever. So now we have all the excuses in the world why not to do this. So I want to talk about number 2. What is your cue card? Your excuse card. And I have a bunch of these later if you guys want them. Actually, I want you to have them. In life, when you're playing cards, right? If you're playing Uno, what's the most powerful card you can have? Draw 4 wild card, right? If you said wild, go read the directions. The draw 4 wild card is what you really want to have. Because when you play that card, you have all power, right? Anybody says anything about it, your excuse is, well, I've got the wild card. You can't question what I'm doing. So what are your excuses that are keeping you from doing things? I'm not pretty enough. I'm too old for that. I'm a single parent. You don't get it. I would, but I don't have the money. Ah, man, I'm too busy. I don't have time. I'm too old. It's too hard. You ever hear those? And many, many more. What is your cue card? Now, I got to tell you a story really quick. I'm going to tell you what mine is and why it's called the cue card. It stands for quadriplegic. Because I can get a lot of things, right? Really, I can manipulate others' feelings and emotions to get what I want. Because, are you guys going to tell me no? Seriously. If you're like the guard and you're trying to keep people out and I came up and I gave a good excuse, would you let me in? Yes. And I know that. But I have to control that. So here's a perfect excuse. If this is my excuse card, okay? The why it's the cue card. My wife and I, after my second neck break, we were down in Utah doing some therapy. And it was our anniversary. We had a sick child, been throwing up all day. I had been at therapies and doctor's appointments. And I said, honey, we got to do something for our anniversary. And so we decided we'll just do something simple, dinner and a movie. The babysitter was late. So we're cruising down the road trying to get to our dinner and a movie. And I said, honey, we just don't have time to do both. I said, which is more important? She said, well, let's go to the movie. I want to see that movie. And then, boom, brilliant idea by romantic husband Nathan. The movie theater is part of the mall. So let's just go to the food court. That's a great romantic anniversary dinner. So we cruise there, we get to the dinner. I said, hey, what would you like? She's like, I'm pregnant. I want it all. So we split up. We grab our stuff. She got like half a pizza. And the movie starts in 5 minutes. So we shove all our food in the back of a little backpack sitting under my chair. And we're cruising. We get our tickets for the movie theater. And we're now don't judge me. All of you have snuck something into a theater. Just not a 7-course meal. So we're cruising down the little aisle. The guy's at the end. He's going to take our tickets and tell us which theater to go to. So as we're cruising down the aisle, I'm sitting there holding these tickets, and my wife's pushing me, and I thought, oh, man, we are going to hit the end. The smell's going to come past us. He's going to notice it and kick us out on our anniversary. So here's what I did. We're about to the guy. I set the tickets on my leg. We stop. The guy goes, can I have your tickets? And I went, tickets? Movie? Tickets? I know, it's bad. It's terrible. I never should have done that. I get it. Don't judge me. I know. But I did it, and he quickly picked it. Oh, sure, here you go. Theater 6, you're on your way. We got to watch the movie, eat our meal on our anniversary. It worked. Is it bad that we got to do that we got to eat our meal while we were watching the movie? No. All of you probably wish you could have done that. It's that I manipulated that guy who barely makes minimum wage to get something I wanted and felt that I deserved, because I put myself above everyone. You know what? It's our anniversary. We have a sick child. My wife's pregnant, and I'm paralyzed. We deserve it. You don't. I do. I used my cue card, my excuse. That needs to stop. You guys are more powerful than that. We had every excuse not to do this event, but we did it anyway. And every time an excuse came up, we pushed it aside and we found an answer. That is exactly what it's going to be in your life, in your families, in your work, in your marriage, whatever it is. There's going to be excuses that are constantly barraging you. You have to figure out how to take those excuses and pick them up first. Take those excuses and just get rid of them. Figure out how to control it. One of the excuses I've always put off is to write a book. I don't like writing. I don't like it. I'm not good at it. Enough people talk to me, and so last year I wrote a book, most of it with this little knuckle, typing. It's all about how to live your life unfrozen and to control your excuses, to deal with depression, to deal with pain, to deal with all these things. And I did it. But then, this last summer was the biggest thing when we created Share the Hope, and that was to raise money for wheelchairs. Now I'm going to show you a quick video to end this. It took us 11 days to do our event, to go 1,200 miles as a family. That's 120 miles a day roughly, on some extremely dangerous roads along the California coast, with 10-year-old out there riding, me in a big 3-wheel bike you'll see. But we did it. And I know you can do hard things. I know it's possible. And I believe in you. We were able to raise over $43,000 for wheelchairs. Just as our family, our little family. And it's not stopping there. It's getting much, much bigger. And there's a video actually going to be out here in probably another month that we'll be showing here locally that does a whole documentary on this trip. But I want you guys to see this when we end. And I want you to know that if you make motion, create your emotions. You take your excuses and you throw them out. You will achieve everything that you desire. Let's do the last video. I think everyone has to find a purpose. They have to find something that gives them drive. And for right now in our lives, for these past few months and for a few months to go, our drive has been wheelchairs for others who need them. But if you don't have purpose, you won't get up. Life won't mean anything. But I do know this, that if you want to have true happiness, you have to go help others succeed at their dream.
I always say passion. Passion means I'm willing to suffer for what I love. It's one thing to start something, it's another thing to finish it. Heather and Nathan have taught their children that they can do hard things, because they do hard things every day. And this family, they're a family of finishers.
I'm just so grateful for everyone who helped us out along the way. This has been an amazing journey, and one that I know will absolutely change all of our lives. It will change the people's lives who get the wheelchairs. And I know that my children will be able to look back on this and be able to feel the strength that they felt during this challenge, and I'm so grateful for this opportunity.
There are times when you might feel aimless and can't see the places where you belong, but you will find that there is a purpose. It's been there within you all along, and when you're near it, you can almost hear it. It's like a symphony. Just keep listening, and pretty soon you'll start to figure out your part. Everyone plays a piece in their own melodies, and each one of us, oh, it's glorious. And you will know how to let it ring out as you discover who you are. Others around you will start to wake up to the sounds that are in their hearts. It's so amazing what we're all creating. It's like a symphony. Just keep listening, and pretty soon you'll start to figure out your part. Everyone plays a piece, and there are melodies in each one of us. Oh, it's glorious. And as you feel the notes build, you will see. It's like a symphony. Just keep listening, and pretty soon you'll start to figure out your part. Everyone plays a piece, and there are melodies in each one of us. Oh, it's glorious.
You see that right there? That was at Bubba Gump's. As we finished, and all that feeling, all that emotion from everything that was my wife had put into that finally released. And that's what you want. Whatever you're trying to do, that's what you want. Fight for the feeling. Not the trophy, fight for the feeling that comes with it. Thank you, guys.